During the summer of 1976, there were a string of murders between Yonkers, New York, and the Big Apple. The murders were committed by David Berkowitz, who called himself Son of Sam. And ironically, although I was not alive at that time, my mother was. She grew up in Yonkers. She was a native there, and she was one of 7 sisters. And she had some interesting stories to tell me about some run-ins with the Son of Sam. One of which was, the first one was when she was babysitting at a very young age in the same exact apartment that Berkowitz was living in before he was even caught, because nobody knew that it was Berkowitz until the very last minute. The other scenario was actually when she was working at a hospital doing the night shift. It was a hospital in Yonkers that's still there that overlooks Untermeyer Park, which is a very rural park where one night she heard some chanting outside in the park, and it turned out, according to the nurse that was with her, that it were devil worshippers, and among them may or may not have been David Berkowitz, because in later years, as books were published about the murders, they found out that Son of Sam was part of that same exact cult, or may or may not have been out there. Finally, as years later, in about 82, she told me that she was working a post office, and when she was working there, Sam Carr came in. Sam Carr was the guy whose dog Berkowitz claimed to be possessed by the devil and had ordered him to kill all the people that he killed. And there were rumors that the Carr family, such as Sam Carr's son, as well as himself, may or may not have been influences in the murders, since Berkowitz was not exactly the most stable person and he lived alone. She told me that he had came in to open up a post office account or something like that, and said to her out of nowhere, "It's a wonderful day for a funeral reception, isn't it?" And when she looked outside, there was a funeral reception, and it was a very morbid thing that he said, and very creepy, considering the fact that he was a local who had a very small affiliation with the murders, and she didn't even know who he was until the other employees told her that it was Sam Carr, the Son of Sam's influence. And I had read about Berkowitz for many, many years, and it wasn't until I was standing there with my mother and her sister in Untermeyer Park years later, when I was about 16, standing where they supposedly had sacrificed German shepherds over the Eagle's Nest, which was a platform with 3 pillars. And, when you look at that place, even if you visited to this very day, you could definitely feel those vibes. And you can definitely tell that there's something that was just sort of taken away from that park, maybe because of the doings that happened there in the 80s. So, even though I was not alive then, I could definitely feel the vibes that still echo from those murders and from that whole thing that took place just in one summer of 1976, which still resonates in 2016 and to this very day.
So it was freshman year. I was walking around the hallway, definitely shirking work because I was failing my living environment class. I was with a bunch of my friends, and we walked past our living environment teacher, and he promised me that if I come at the end of the week for school, right before we let out for recess, that I could do makeup work. The day seemed simple, seemed normal. We were wandering the halls, and we decided to walk into the guidance counselor office to see who was in there. I pop my head in, I see my friend Melissa, and sit down. We start talking about a couple things, and then I hear a whole commotion come from the side hallway. Our girl pops in. It's Diamond. Diamond comes in. I hate her. She starts screaming at me, rips my glasses off. "We're fighting now, we're fighting now." So then I was thrown into a fight. My first fight ever. 14, 15 years old. We start going, punch for punch. She grabs me by my hair. I twist her around. We keep going. 10 staff members come in, rip us apart. Who's pulling me away? Mr. Johnson, my living environment teacher. He's like, "I just seen you. What are you doing?" I start screaming. I'm like, "That fucking bitch punched me. That fucking bitch punched me." And I'm going insane. I get brought into the nurse's office. She asks me for an ice pack. I say no, I don't need it. Turns out I get suspended for 5 days. She's in the hospital. and I couldn't go to living environment to make up any classes. That's it. Was that a minute? Can I move? I have to stay still. Darn it.
Yes. So, I wake up. I don't know. I'm in this empty room. Don't see anything. It's like pitch black. My eyes are wide open. I can't even see my hand in front of me. Until I suddenly like feel this light beaming over my shoulder, and it's coming from behind me. I turn around and I'm really confused because there's literally nothing in this room besides this one door that's shining this light. So I get up slowly and I start, walking over there really cautiously, not knowing what's going on because I really have no idea. I'm thinking it's a dream. I'm thinking maybe I'm just hallucinating. Whatever. I don't know. Something that I just don't know what to comprehend. And then I finally get to the door, but I don't go in. For some reason, I just stop and tell myself, stop right here. I look inside, and there's just this woman crying in almost tears of pain, not even sad like something happened to her, but almost like something physically really happened to her. And I start freaking out. I start yelling out at the woman, like, who are you? What's wrong? Can I help you? And she can't hear me. Something's blocking, almost like I'm on the other side of this wall. So I keep yelling and I keep yelling until finally the door just slams shut straight in my face. And I start freaking out even more because now it's super dark. Then I can kind of faintly see the door distancing itself from me, and I just freak out and I fall back. And suddenly the room is just getting longer and longer, and this door is just getting farther and farther away from me until it's finally gone. And then all of a sudden, this weird, leathery, predator type creature just comes up right in front of me, almost like an alien that has no eyes, nothing, just long fingers, almost like a human, but just a mouth. And it starts just screaming at me until finally I just wake up in this panic and start going crazy, start yelling anything possible, yelling for anybody. And my mom just runs into my room and tells me to calm down. And I'm freaking out until finally I get calmed down and I go back to sleep. That's my story. Very good.
So you're trying to say your mom had a